In the pre-dawn hours of Tuesday, South Africa was jolted awake by scenes of shock and confusion as an elite contingent of investigators from the Special Investigating Unit and the Hawks descended on the private Johannesburg residence of President Sir Ramaphosa. The operation, which multiple sources insist had been planned with extreme secrecy, reportedly began shortly after 4:00 a.m. when a convoy of unmarked police vehicles quietly entered the secured estate. Armed officers were seen taking up positions around the property, while a specialized forensic unit moved swiftly through the main entrance, creating an atmosphere that many witnesses later compared to a full-scale military maneuver. Residents in the surrounding area described the scene as tense and unsettling, saying access roads were blocked off and no one was allowed to approach. According to one eyewitness, the officers acted with speed and precision, and by sunrise, the entire area had effectively been placed under lockdown. Initial information suggested that the raid was linked to a major corruption investigation that had been unfolding discreetly over several months, largely out of public view. What investigators are alleged to have uncovered inside the president's mansion has since ignited an unprecedented political firestorm, one that now threatens to destabilize the African National Congress at its very core. Sources familiar with the investigation claim that officers discovered multiple concealed compartments and safes hidden behind false walls and beneath floorboards. Inside these hidden spaces, investigators reportedly found large sums of foreign currency, sensitive documents, and encrypted data drives believed to contain highly confidential state-related information. According to those close to the probe, the documents appear to outline offshore financial transactions connected to government contracts, foreign benefactors, and private business entities with direct links to senior ANC figures. One senior SIU investigator is alleged to have remarked privately that the discovery amounted to far more than routine evidence, describing it instead as a political earthquake. The same source reportedly said the files point to payments made in exchange for political influence and favors, adding that some of the individuals named are among the most powerful and traditionally untouchable figures in South African politics. Crucially, investigators are said to believe that the implications stretch far beyond the president alone, adding to the gravity of the situation where reports that officers uncovered a concealed communication server within the residence. This server is believed to store encrypted messages exchanged between Ramaphosa's office and various international contacts. Analysts suggest that if verified, these records could expose the internal mechanics of secretive financial networks that have been rumored for years, but never conclusively proven. By mid-morning, news of the raid had reached Luchuli House, the ANC's national headquarters, and insiders say panic spread almost immediately. Senior party leaders reportedly rushed into emergency meetings as phones rang incessantly and whispered conversations about political catastrophe echoed through the corridors. One long-serving ANC member speaking on condition of enmity reportedly said this was the moment many within the party had dreaded for years. According to the source, the organization had been barely holding itself together, and this development had snapped the final thread. The individual warned that if the seized documents were ever made public, the fallout would not be limited to Ramaphosa, but would instead pull down much of the party's top leadership with him. Within the ANC, reports suggest that some members quickly demanded a closed-door crisis summit to determine exactly how much evidence had been confiscated and whether the president was still in a position to shield others from legal consequences. At the same time, other figures were said to be quietly distancing themselves, worry that criminal charges could soon follow. As internal divisions widened, attention turned to General Nan Lamwani, head of the South African Police Service in KwaZulu-Natal, and a prominent figure in recent anti-corruption efforts. He has reportedly been briefed to oversee the next phase of the investigation. Sources close to General Lamwani claim that he has been methodically working behind the scenes to trace complex financial trails that allegedly extend from Johannesburg to Dubai and even into France, suggesting a web of international connections far broader than previously suspected. Around midday, the presidency released a short statement confirming that the raid had indeed taken place, while maintaining that President Ramaphosa was fully cooperating with authorities. Despite this assurance, political analysts argued that the events mark a decisive turning point for a leader whose public image had already been weakened by the widely criticized failure farm scandal. Dr. Sway Miko, a political analyst at the University of Pretoria, reportedly stated that this was not a routine inquiry, but a direct assault on the president's credibility. According to Miko, if the evidence points to financial misconduct or secret dealings, it could bring Ramaphosa's presidency to an abrupt and definitive end. Such assessments only intensified public concern and fueled speculation across the political spectrum. Opposition parties moved swiftly to capitalize on the unfolding crisis. Both the Democratic Alliance and the Economic Freedom Fighters released statements calling for Ramaphosa to step aside immediately, while a full and transparent public inquiry is conducted. Leader Julius Malema took to social media, writing that the truth always eventually surfaces and that South Africans deserve leaders who are honest, not individuals hiding money beneath their beds. By the afternoon, news of the raid dominated national headlines with continuous coverage across television, radio, and online platforms. Outside union buildings and public spaces, small groups of demonstrators began to gather, demanding answers and accountability. Placards bearing messages such as "Enough lies" and "ANC must go" became increasingly visible as anger spread rapidly across social media channels. Simultaneously, unverified reports began circulating that several high-ranking ANC members had started shifting funds and assets out of the country, fearing that the seized material could trigger a cascade of further investigations. A source within the National Prosecuting Authority was quoted as saying that the sense of panic was unmistakable, with individuals scrambling to assess the exposure and potential legal risks. According to this source, everyone wanted to know precisely how much the investigators had uncovered and whether additional raids might be imminent. For now, officials have kept the full inventory of seized items classified, but multiple reports suggest that investigators are preparing a confidential briefing for Parliament within the next 72 hours. General Lamwani is expected to present his findings directly to a special parliamentary committee, and insiders warn that the information he delivers could end political careers overnight. As the country waits, South Africans are collectively holding their breath. For years, citizens have called for genuine accountability, transparency, and justice from those in power. Now, many believe that the reckoning they have long demanded may finally be at hand. If the evidence obtained during the early morning raid proves to be as explosive as sources claim, the ANC could be standing on the brink of the most severe scandal in its history. In that scenario, President Ramaphosa's once carefully constructed political empire may suffer damage from which it cannot recover, fundamentally reshaping South Africa's political landscape for years to come.